What's up, family? What's up? What's up? Welcome to Positive Power, Double X Christian Media, and you're listening to Late Night with Jerry Royce Live Worldwide and Paula G, the voice. Amen. Thank everybody for tuning in. Tonight we're going to have a great guest, right, author. Right, he's here to talk about his brand new book called Unclassified. Right. We're going to talk about what it's like to be inside, outside, and around the CIA. That's right. A lot of you guys watch those shows. I just finished watching an awesome movie called The Messiah where the CIA was running them down. Awesome. So you got to check it out, y'all. There's a lot of good flicks out there talking about the CIA. A lot of us don't know a lot about it. But they babysit the U.S. They keep an eye on us. Keep us out of trouble. Keep trouble from away from us. All right, but we're going to find a little bit more about this author. And the good news is Paula G, the voice, will be interviewing. Let's bring Paula G. What's up, Paula G, the voice? How you doing?
Jerry Royce Live Worldwide. I am wonderful. I woke up this morning. How are you?
That man is okay. Yeah, it was a good day today. Yeah, half a day.
That's good. That's good. Half a day. Yeah, half a day. Any day that's a half a day or a day off of work, that is always a good day.
Yeah, Batman said he was going to start his spring cleaning a little earlier this year. So we're starting up on the top floor, because there's so much to do these days.
Oh, working your way down.
Yeah, I'm gonna start working with the windows once the sun start coming out. But right now, it's time to give stuff away. The Goodwill and a lot of those other industries are looking forward to receiving items for the spring. People need spring clothes. We had a very warm winter, so we really didn't need no boots or anything. But and if you got tennis shoes you don't really wear, they could use those kind of items, So that's what I'm about to do. Get rid of some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
We accumulate so much. We buy, we go shopping, we accumulate things. We forget we have things.
Yeah.
We buy some more, and and then the kids grow, and maybe they have gently, as they say, gently worn clothes. They have gently worn clothes, and all of that accumulates. We don't realize.
Yeah, books. I had a lot of books that I've read that I probably can. That's a hard thing because with the internet, people buying, books for their devices and everything and audio books. I'm thinking about taking those to the library. I know a lot of times the library have budgets and stuff and they like to buy new books, but I'm going to see if I can donate to maybe someone who opened a library, maybe in their facility. Maybe not the public library, but maybe an organization that has a library. And maybe the job. Maybe I could just put some books on the table. Somebody may just want to pick it up and read it at their desk. Might try that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, because there are a lot of us still like a physical book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
We do. Kindles.
Yeah, we don't have devices so long. Yeah, sometimes you got to take a little break from it once in a while, right?
I know. Just pick up a physical book.
That's right. Do it, y'all. All right.
Back in the old days.
And speaking of physical books, this young man in the studio with us tonight, he has a new book. And it's a physical book that you guys can pick up. Yeah. And it's on Amazon. It's called Unclassified, CIA. I don't have the whole book in front of me, but I'm looking at it. Look like you say at my life before. And what's that? During my time with the CIA. So we're going to get a chance to let him express himself and talk about, I guess, the purpose, why what drove him to write this book. And Paula G, our expert, our TV, our radio hostess of the Moses, is going to handle the steering wheel, right?
Yes, absolutely. I appreciate you, Batman. Thank you so much.
All right. And before
I go any further, I want to. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say,
we got a few more minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say before. Yeah, I was going to wrap it up. I was going to say before I go, I just want to say congratulations. My journey is now airing in Chicago. They call it North Chicago, which makes up about 12, 15 prominent counties. So God's been really good to us. DeKalb County is a very rich county. Now, what's that? The Midwest? Chicago's the Midwest, around the Great Lake, right? Am I right or wrong? That's
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's where
Chicago's the Midwest. Yes. Yeah, but the DeKalb County is right here in the Atlanta area, Decatur area, DeKalb County area.
The greater Georgia, they call it. The great marketplace. Yeah, that's right. That's what they like to spend money. Earn money and spend money. That's what it's all about.
There you go.
Yeah.
But we are grateful. So shouts out to all of those platforms, those networks that are broadcasting my journey with Paula G. We are so appreciative. And, of course, WATC TV 57 right here in Atlanta. I'll be in the studio tomorrow evening for Atlanta Live. So we thank them so much and appreciate them.
That's right. What's that time, Paula?
Everybody that's joining us tonight. Yeah. We got Harvey Morris has joined us tonight. Samuel Brown has joined us tonight. Got some folks. Lakeisha's out there.
Yeah, Lakeisha.
So y'all
that was a great show.
Yeah.
That was a great show. We made a new friend with Lakeisha's Mr. Deontay Bolden. He lives in the Atlanta area, and I told him we'd love to have him on the set when Batman come to town on September 18th. We'd be at the Black Box at the Good Acting Studio with Michael Good. That's right. So you guys got to come by and hang out with us.
Back at the Black Box.
That's right. Friday night.
Yeah, and speaking of the Black Box, we got to give them a shout out. I'll be over there on Friday evening. We'll be taping. We're doing a Facebook Live over there.
Awesome.
They're really excited about a nonprofit that they're starting for at-risk youth in the arts. So we'll be talking about that more later. But we just want to give them a shout out. Michael Mario Good of the Good Acting Studio.
That's right.
We're excited about what's going on. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And I got a shout out to. I want to shout out to Brandon Lusu. That's right, Lusu Brand. He actually be covering us in our apparel. So I actually been out. I actually got some new stuff that's going to be coming in. Because a lot of people keep saying, "Baby, you need more stuff with your name on there." I was like, all right, more TV production stuff, So more stuff. So I wanted to get some jackets, but the weather been so crazy. I'm afraid to order hoodies. I would like to get a hoodie, but I don't know. The weather is. I don't know. I'm afraid it's gonna be 90 degrees next week, so I better not do that.
Oh, it's not.
Even in Maryland.
But it's the weather fluctuates. Yeah, the weather. But the weather fluctuates. You have cool evenings. Mm-hmm. When you go on, down the Eastern Shore, you have those cool evenings. So, a hoodie is always useful.
All that equipment we be moving around, I need T-shirts that they can absorb. That's right.
This is true.
Yeah,
this
T-shirt
is true.
time. That's right. And also shout out to WKHS. Speaking of Chestertown, Maryland, St. Michael's, all the beautiful upper and lower shore. Had a chance to talk to Mr. Potter. We talked about the music, the internship, the work he's doing over at Salisbury University with some of the kids that's in music. It was exciting to hear that, small companies are reaching out to some of our colleges. I know the Baltimore Ravens talk a lot about that, what they're doing with some of the local colleges around here with the students, introducing them to sports marketing, which is tremendous. But just imagine social media marketing is humongous too for a small business. That's a lot to take on by yourself. And you and I know just doing what we do, working together, collaborating, it could be a pretty big challenge, because you're doing a book and you got this TV show, the radio show. It's a lot. And I know you did mention. Show. Yeah, you mentioned you need help.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's right. All right.
Oh, yeah. We definitely do.
With all that said, Paula G.
Help.
That's right. We need help. And with all that said, again, tune in, everybody. If you're in the Northeast, talking about, I guess I could say the Tri-State, the Delmarva, the DMV, you can pick up WKHS on Sundays from 6 to 8. That's right, all smooth jazz. You catch them on 90.5 FM if you want to tune in, and you catch them on their website at wkhsradio.org, or you can catch them right here on Wednesday night on their podcast right here on Positive Power, WXI with Jerry Was Live. Just Google Jerry Was Live on Spreaker Radio. You can catch us on Spotify, and just go to our Facebook page. You find everything. All right, well, we're ready to talk to Mr. KERR. You ready for Mr. KERR?
Definitely.
All right, Mr. KERR, Richard J. KERR, welcome to Positive Power. Late night, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. We hope it's not
Sounds like you're having fun.
Oh yeah, we have a ball all the time. Always. So we looking forward to this conversation. We definitely want to hear what's going on with your book and why you wrote it and where you are in your life and your purpose and all that good stuff. So Batman, just going to say hello, and I'm on mute. I'm right here if you guys need me. Amen.
Amen. All right. Well, thank you, Batman. Shouts out to you, Batman. And thank you all so much for joining us for another episode, Late Night Radio with Jerry Royce Live and Paula G. Shouts out to my sister, Shay Samuels, who's with you on the first and third Mondays as well. We appreciate each and every one of you for joining us. And you all give us some hearts, give us some thumbs up to let us know that you're out there. Harvey, thank you for listening. Samuel, thank you so much for listening. My guest this evening is a former Deputy Director of the Central Intelligence Agency, also known as the CIA. And during his 30-plus years in the CIA, he rose through the ranks. He's going to share that journey with us. He has briefed presidents. He has established a reputation for integrity and objectivity, and he joins us this evening. Please put your hands together. Robot, give us some love for former Deputy Director Richard James KERR. Welcome to Positive Power.
Well, it's a pleasure to join you.
Yes. I'm excited. When I saw that you were going to be a guest on this show, I'm like, wow, this kind of takes me back a bit. So I'm really excited to have you, on the show and to share a bit of your journey. You started out as a GS7, and for those of us who know, that government system, you rose through the ranks. You started as a GS7 analyst clerk right out of college, which is huge. Give us a brief overview of your rise through the ranks of intelligence, operations, administration, the journey. Give us an overview.
Well, I had a great experience. I joined in 1960. Mm-hmm. Today I'm 84 years old today. So
Amen.
I worked in the CIA from 1960 to 1992, and then I continued a variety of different activities after I retired in 92. So it's been a very busy life. I started out my first job was not very much, quite honestly. It was as a file clerk working in the agency. It wasn't a very good job, but it was at the very bottom of the agency, and I was lucky to get involved in 1962 in the Cuban Missile Crisis when the Russians put missiles into Cuba, and that was a major crisis involving President Kennedy, and the intelligence community supported that activity, and I worked on that for a couple years, learned a lot.
So you
got an opportunity to talk to a lot of people, and learned the business of being an intelligence officer.
Wow. So can you share a little bit because when you look at your span, your career, it's over 30 years. And like I said, the government system, you go from a GS7, like you said, up through the ranks into the team.
Being a deputy director.
Yes,
acting director.
Yeah, so that is a commendable journey coming right out of college. And, you said you started at the... Yes, go ahead.
It's kind of slogging along, learning the business, being a journeyman and kind of working your way up through the system, trying to understand how it is in a very big, complex organization, and how to move ahead and show what you can do. And the agency was very good to me. It gave me great opportunities to do things. I was sent off a couple years after I left working on Cuba. I was sent off to brief the Shah by myself, to brief the Shah of Iran and the President of Pakistan. And later in my career, I fortunately was involved in doing the President's Daily Brief, which is a document that provided to the President each day, providing him intelligence on what's going on in the world and describing kind of what the intelligence community believes is the significance of that activity. So I had a chance to brief presidents on several occasions. I started out briefing President Reagan in the period before he was between when he was elected and when he was actually inaugurated. For a couple months, I saw him every day and briefed him about the world events.
Was there a particular process to how you prepared for the briefings?
Yeah, usually I came in. It was fairly rigorous routine. During the day, we talked to analysts and talked to the people who were the experts in various areas, suggested things that needed to be written, and then that evening they were written up at night, and then in the morning I used to come in at about 5 and take the document to the president and sit, read, talk to them about it. They would read it, and I would comment on, add information about it. So that was the routine. A little bit like a newspaper, actually.
Okay. But you had to present in such a way that was what's the term do I want to use? Either generic or objective as far as the information, because you in your bio it states that you had established a reputation for integrity and objectivity, and I would imagine
intelligence officers, if they're good and if they do it the right way, they comment on what the intelligence, the significance of the intelligence and what it means, but they are careful about just using the information available to them and not providing information that's based on their own opinions. Yes,
and that's a fine. I would imagine that's a fine line. Can you touch on?
It is a fine line.
Yeah, I can imagine that's a fine line. Can you touch a little bit on? And you may have already. Can you touch a little bit on? Kind of give us a description of each area, because there were 4 areas: intelligence, operations, administration, and science technology, and of course the deputy director. So can you give us a little job description, if you will, of the intelligence?
Well, if
there's such a thing.
Oh yes, there are 4 major components. One is the operation side, which actually, if you think about it, there's some of the people you see on television who say they were operations people. They worked overseas. They recruited agents. They tried to get intelligence in the country they were working on. And they essentially are the people that do human intelligence. There's another group that does analysis. It takes the information from all sources: photography, signals, human sources, open press, tries to merge it together and make a story out of it, put it together that makes sense and that provides a perspective of the particular problem you're working on, whether it's a foreign country, an economic problem, or a political problem. It tries to gather together the information and essentially write and present analysis of that information. The science and technology people, and I worked on in that area as well, are the people that they designed originally the first satellite that took photographs, and so they were the people that ran large technical programs to collect information. And then the administrative people, like you would expect, do things that you would expect them to do, but they also, because you have to support a very large overseas element, you end up having to do things in secret, provide information to protect your people. You have to have medical services for them in some cases. So you provide all the administrative support to keep a very complex organization moving.
Wow.
So it's a big,
it's a lot.
Intelligence is a big business.
Yes. And what you were speaking to earlier in regard to the presidential briefings, I can only imagine that with all of this information that you have and the process that you have to go through to present it to the president, like you said, in a manner that is objective, in order for him to make a decision as to, what happens next.
That's right. How do you act on it?
Done.
The agency doesn't act on things. It provides information. Now, there are some areas where it is more active, but that is after if there is a particular program that is sponsored by the executive, the president, that he needs to fulfill. The agency, in some cases, does things overseas that are more operational and not analytic. But for the most part, it's a collection organization that gathers together the information, tries to make sense out of it, and provides that information in a systematic way to the policymakers, not just the president, but kind of all the policymakers, Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State, and other people who are involved in the process.
In your journey in working with the CIA and knowing what you know, knowing what you have known versus what the public knows or what the public has known at certain points in time, what perhaps has been your biggest frustration?
Well, I think it has been a variety of different things. One, there is a certain mystique about CIA, or there was, about a secret organization gathering secret information and providing it to policymakers. And so that's not information that's generally available to the public. And that creates some suspicions about, well, what's going on and how do you do this and and do you do it and how honestly do you provide the information? How objective are you? There's always that concern about any organization that's a secret organization that doesn't advertise its information widely. So there's always a concern. I think you have to tell the public enough so that they have confidence in the system, but not so much that you reveal the information and the sources of information and therefore compromise your sources. So
yes,
it's an interesting mixture of how much you can do.
And possibly putting soldiers in harm's way. Would that be correct?
Well, you don't want to do that, obviously. You don't want to put your own people in harm's way, and you don't want...
with a balance. Like you were saying, with a balance.
There's a good balance between that, and it is a difficult business, but one that I think is very important that the policymaker get the best intelligence and information to serve them as they make policies about very complicated issues.
Talk to us a bit about your, and I just am really, when I read this, I'm like, wow, he really is a man that really had to keep a level head throughout his career. You've been known as a stabilizing influence in addressing hot button issues, and we may have just kind of touched on that a little bit. But can you elaborate on that a little bit more of how you feel you developed that reputation?
Well, I think you need integrity. You need to be honest to the people you're serving, and you need, in my view, you have to have a certain sense of humor too, and not take yourself too seriously. But it requires a kind of a good deal of effort and hard work to do the job, and to convince others that you know what you're talking about and that you're providing information that's accurate and timely. So it's a job of persuading others that you have competence and that your organization is competent. So it's a kind of a constant process of reassuring people and also making sure that you live up to your own standards.
Yes, absolutely. Now, the title of your book is Unclassified. Unclassified. So what has to occur, and what constitutes information? We're going to talk We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But what constitutes information going from classified to unclassified? Or is that classified?
Information is classified in a variety of different ways, depending on its source. Some information is acquired from sources that are very sensitive and very need to be protected. Otherwise, you'll lose those sources. Other information is it's kind of through a whole set of sensitivity. So when you get information from a human source that's doing it, and when you have to realize that when you're collecting information from human sources overseas, those people, in some cases, are actually giving you information that they shouldn't be giving you from their country. Yeah. So they're violating the laws and the rules of their own country. For one reason or another, you've convinced them that supporting the United States and giving us information is important for them as well. Yeah. So so that you have to protect those sources. You also have technical sources, satellites and other things that you're using that if everybody knew about them, they wouldn't be effective. So those things are all end up. That's why they're classified. What I wrote and why I called the book Unclassified is that I didn't talk in great detail about sources and methods of how we get the intelligence. I talked about some of the issues and problems that we're faced, but not the details of the information itself. Correct. And of course, with information being classified and who has access to that information, along with that comes security clearances and the levels of security clearances as well, correct? Certainly. For instance, I had to give my book was reviewed by CIA to make sure that from their point of view, it did not reveal information that they would consider classified. So they read it, looked at it, asked me to make a couple minor changes that they thought where I had said things that they would rather I did not say they thought might reveal something. But nothing, because I wrote it very carefully not to do that. So I didn't have a problem. Yes. Now, you've had quite a career, and you've written this book. You're now retired, and you have had the opportunity to, of course, reflect on your career. What advice can you give either current and or future administration on the value and the importance of agencies such as the CIA when it comes to worldwide issues? Well, I think it's absolutely imperative that there be a good intelligence organization, that it provides information in a clear and objective way that doesn't try to, if you will, put its finger on the scales to give its own personal views or political views. So I think it's very important to have an independent organization that has people who are with integrity and honesty, who know how to do this and know how to do it well. It's not something that you learn overnight. It's a skill. You have to go through a journeyman. You have to learn it like any other profession, and I consider it being a profession. An intelligence officer is a skill that's learned over the years. So it's very valuable from the point of view of the policymakers, because without that input, you're essentially operating in the blind without the full knowledge of what's going on in the world and what difference it makes. Yes. What impact do you feel? What impact do you feel that all of the decisions that you've made, or some of the decisions that you have made, have had on worldwide
worldwide issues?
I think it's had. I think the organization and me personally it's less of a. I represented an organization and the views of an organization, so it was a collective activity. I think individuals don't usually come up with any grand solutions to problems, but the organization, by systematically working issues, learns how to do it, learns how to provide information that's valuable. So it's something. It's like what do you learn in school? You learn how to do things, how to organize your thoughts. You're helping others do exactly that. How to organize material, how to think about complex problems, and also where there are opportunities for the United States, things they could do or things they shouldn't do.
Wow. Yes. What are some of the? Can you share with us a couple of the highlights from your book? A couple of things that you felt were important to include.
Well, I would go back and say, probably from my point of view, probably the greatest learning experience was being involved in the Cuban Missile Crisis, and then being sent off to brief other leaders, foreign leaders. And the agency was very good about giving junior people great responsibility, and then ability to brief senior people, whether it's presidents or other senior people. After I left the agency, I was involved in a variety of different things that my experience in the agency allowed me to do better. I was on a commission that looked at the problem of Catholics and Protestants in Ireland, the Good Friday Agreement, and I worked on that for 7 years. I went to Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Ireland nearly monthly for 7 years after I retired, and that my experience in the agency helped me deal and provide information and deal with that problem in a more effective way. And later, after I retired, I was asked to do a critique of our intelligence prior to the war with Iraq. I was brought back to do that with a small team of people. And again, my experience in the agency for 33 years helped me a great deal trying to figure out how to do that. So, it's I've had a lot of good experiences. I had a lot of opportunity to travel, to be foreign leaders, to be involved in difficult problems. And I always say the lessons I learned in it, I always put down into 4 categories. You can, first of all, marry a woman, and I married a great woman who helped me by taking care of a family where I was often wandering around, and I've spent 66 years with her. So, and I think you have to have a sense of humor. Yeah. And I think you have to work hard and kind of be true to yourself, and then you have to like what you do. And if you do those things, and that's true of nearly any problem that people face.
Yes. Yeah.
All those lessons are probably pretty good lessons.
Indeed. And you said you and your bride have been together for 66 years. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, 66 years. That's right.
Okay, so I have to hit the pause button for a moment because I always ask the question. Anyone that's been married 20 plus years, I have to pause and ask you to share a nugget or nuggets of wisdom with couples out there, whether they're new couples or couples that have been together, what you feel has been the key or keys to the longevity of your relationship, given also your profession and what you've done.
Well, I don't know what the magic is. Part of it is you have to love someone.
There you go.
And you have to be honest and faithful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have to, I think, again, you have to have a sense of humor and be able to talk to each other about complex issues. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important. We have 3 four children and 9 grandchildren. So they all make you, they make you, they make you grow up too, even as you grow along. And so that I think they're all important to your life and to your happiness.
Yes, because when whether you're CIA or one of the other organizations or military, there's
or a plumber or electrician.
Yeah, true, but they don't stay gone quite as long as. No,
that's right.
As
if you travel a lot, and I left a lot and traveled, and my wife was kind of left alone with children to take care of them and pay the bills and do all the things that would be expected if I was there. So you have to find someone who's pretty independent too. Right,
exactly. That can navigate all of that and
That's
make
right.
those adjustments when when the times when you're back home as opposed to when you're
that's right.
Away. Now, when you were away, was it considered a deployment, a PSCS, TDY?
No, most of mine were short trips.
Short trips, okay.
Although I spent some time in the Far East during the Vietnam War. I spent a couple months away as a reports officer in the field. But most of mine were traveling and doing business overseas. So, weeks at a time, but not years.
Weeks. And I would imagine as you, with everything that you had to consider in the different seasons of your journey in this particular job, on top of everything else, you also probably had to consider the cultural differences. And if like if I believe you mentioned the Middle East and being in the Middle East.
There's no question. I mean, and that's what you do as an intelligence officer working on a country too. You have to look at times. You have to step back and look at the world the way they look at the world to understand why they're acting the way they do, why they're doing things. You have to try to understand as best you can from their perspective what the world looks like and how you look. So you need to put yourself in their shoes, if you will, and kind of look and try to understand a broader perspective. And that's something that everybody should do when they're dealing with any culture, is try to understand how the perspective of the culture, how they look at the world. And sometimes their views are rather different, and their perspective is rather different.
Yeah, and stepping outside of yourself and seeing how they view things, I think is huge, because there's so many people that do not, unfortunately, have the opportunity to travel outside of their respective country, be it the U.S. or Middle East or wherever it is. So I think a lot of times it's difficult for them to understand that perspective of what you were just speaking to. If there are young persons that are listening that are interested in becoming a part of the CIA, what are some advice that you would have for them? What are some things that you would have them to consider, or questions that they need to ask themselves before venturing into this field?
Well, obviously, you need a strong interest in foreign policy in foreign countries and in other cultures, and a strong interest in at least understanding people and how they react. And you need some considerable education. It doesn't hurt to have a little bit of history and knowledge about the world, and it also helps to be able, if you have language abilities, to develop those. So there's a lot of different ways you could approach the problem. CIA has a very good website. that talks about gives people information who are interested in being intelligence officers. There's a lot of different things to do within a very large organization. Everything from being an economist to a political scientist to being a doctor, a psychologist. There are all kinds of jobs available. All of them look at essentially the problem of dealing with foreign policy, but the different skills and abilities required. So it is. There's a lot of opportunities.
Share with the audience how they can stay connected with you, and also how they can purchase your book and find out more about former Deputy Director Richard James KERR.
Well, it's on Amazon, and I think it's in Barnes & Noble. It's on Kindle, so it's available there. It's not a long book. As I said at the beginning, it's essentially, I describe it, I was a fairly ordinary person going into the organization. I didn't have a particularly good early background or education. I went to college, but I developed slowly in terms of learning as a very young person, and I describe it as kind of an ordinary person growing up in a very complex organization that had some great experiences, and that's not a bad way of describing my life. Right.
I love it. Is there another book inside of you, Mr. KERR?
Well, I wrote a book last year and published it called The Dark Side of Paradise, which was a book of short stories, and they're not really related to my work in the agency. They're out of my imagination, and they're a little on the weird side.
Another side of the former deputy director, folks. So
right.
Are we going to be able to? We're going.
No, it's
we'll
an Amazon too.
It's an Amazon. There you go.
It's called The Dark Side of Paradise.
The Dark Side of Paradise, available on Amazon. We are speaking with former Deputy Director Richard James KERR of the CIA, and I believe Batman is back with us. Batman, do you have a question?
Yes, sir, Mr. KERR. I have two questions for you, Mr. KERR. All right, one, after retirement, are you enjoying yourself? Are you having fun?
Oh, yeah. I had great fun writing my short stories, and I've had fun over the years kind of putting together this memoir that I'm now publishing, the book called Unclassified. I have a great deal of fun. I do talks in my town. I do lectures. I'm busy on an archaeological project. I do a lot of things, and I keep very busy. At 84 years old, I'm pretty busy.
That's right. Sound like it. Sound like that's right. Young age. That's right. That's right. The 80s is nothing nowadays. I mean, people are doing well in the 90s. And my other question is, do you get a chance to sit back and enjoy some of these TV series on Netflix and HBO that has anything to do with the Central Intelligence Agencies, the way they approach some of the, it's a lot going on overseas right now. Are you enjoying those programs, or are they just too far-fetched?
I don't pay much attention to them. Most of them are well off the mark. They're not very realistic about what intelligence is all about or how it works.
He took all the fun out of it.
I don't pay that much attention.
Don't engage.
I read a lot about them. I read a lot of books about.
Yeah. I think
primarily history and foreign policy, not novels.
Yeah. Right. I was about to ask you that, because the novel's probably the same way. Probably, way far off, but I'm sure.
Well, there's some fun. There's some that are fun to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, they're not very accurate.
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
And, it's funny, Mr. KERR, it seemed like, you sound like you enjoyed that form of, the agency so much that it sounded like you would have been a great professor in college. Did you ever think about teaching in college, on the college level?
Well, when I retired and then went on and did some things after I retired, I was getting a little older, a little too old to do that. I did teach a few courses and I do as I said, a fair amount of lectures here, even in Vero Beach, where I live, on foreign policy. But I would have enjoyed teaching, I think, but it's just not something I never really had the time to do.
Yeah, right. I understand. Yeah, because I have quite a few friends that retired from law enforcement, and they were just so eager to teach, the science, the criminal law, and that kind of thing, So they love it. Yeah, they love it, and they got
it's
a chance.
It's a great way to continue.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it is. It is.
It's a great way to continue your involvement in something you enjoy.
Yeah, they loved it. They loved it, and they had the benefits of retiring in 20 years, also, so they were still relatively young.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have any of your children or grandchildren expressed an interest?
No, none of my children were interested in. I was never really interested in having them do it either.
Right.
But none of them were really that interested. They all went into rather different directions. But that not into the foreign policy area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
With the change in technology over the years, was that ever a challenge along the way?
Yes, it was. It is. I mean, the agency was a leader in technology. It developed the first satellites, and it developed the U-2 airplane and the SR-71, and these are aircraft that were used for reconnaissance. So the agency was very much involved in the early years in developing the techniques and the capability to collect intelligence.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
All right, Mr. KERR.
Well, we appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. Just in the information, very, very informative, very enlightening, and just I believe that it really has heightened our appreciation for the organization of the CIA and what it does and has done and continues to do for our country. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sharing
very
with
much.
us.
Yeah, thank you for your years of service.
And tell everybody to buy the book.
That's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. It's out there.
Amazon.
That's right.
Go out.
That's right. Check it out.
It is entitled Unclassified. Yes.
The link is on Facebook.
Unclassified by former Deputy Director Richard James KERR. It is available now on Amazon. To learn more about his journey and the CIA, you all please go out and support our guests this evening. Right. That was a good conversation.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And we appreciate you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. KERR. And please tell your publicist that we say hello. Amen.
Oh, good. Yes, I will. Yeah, thank you.
Amen. All right, Paula G, ready to wrap it up?
Absolutely.
Talk to you later.
Absolutely.
Bye now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was. So we will be bringing our Positive Power family guests, from different genres. There's a lot of genres out there we don't get a chance to get exposed to. And that was this guy been involved with foreign policy for a long time. That's deep. Wow. All right. So Paula G, before we wrap up the show, just want you to let everybody know where they can catch your TV show this week coming up. Since it's Monday, they got time to lock it in on their calendar, on their Google Calendar.
Absolutely. Absolutely. WATC TV 57 right here in Atlanta. You can log on to WATC2, that's TOO.TV. If you have Hulu, Roku, Apple TV, Truly, Google Play, Geneco, faith-based TV, you can catch My Journey with Paula G. We're also available at DeKalb 25 Access Channel right here in DeKalb County here in Georgia, WEPH. We're also now broadcasting in the Chicago area, so we're really in Lake County, I believe it is. So we're really, really appreciative of that as well. We are just growing by leaps and bounds, and I thank Batman, producer extraordinaire.
That's right.
My Journey with Paula G. We've had some great guests. We're preparing for our May 2nd, May 3rd live taping of My Journey with Paula G in the Positive Power 21 Studios. So we are excited about that. If you have a journey, if you have a story to share, we invite you to reach out to us. You can email Jerry at jerryvoicelive@gmail.com or myself, Paula, at paulagvoice.com. Share with us a bit of your journey, your story, what you feel that you can share with the audience, and how you feel you can bless the audience with your journey, whether you're an author or you're an entrepreneur, an artist, whatever it is that you have to share, because we are all juggling this journey.
That's right.
Called life, while walking in the gifts and talents that God has given us. Isn't that right, Batman?
That's right. And also, on that note, for those of you that's out there, you have a powerful story yourself, and the Paula G show, you've done that before. You've been on the Keisha, you've been on Shay's show. We have other platforms available too. You may need to do a short movie. You may have a real powerful story that could be done in a short movie. I've been hearing how Netflix and Amazon them are cranking out millions because they want to be up to 50% of original programming. So, that's a lot of shows. That's a lot of movies. And they're looking for some good stuff. And a lot of people got great imagination. Just like Mr. KERR, I'm sure he probably could put down a real decent movie. So, maybe some issues with that, but he might have to make it up. Maybe that's why they make up so much stuff in the CIA, because you can't tell the truth. You gotta make it exciting.
Classified information.
Yeah, you gotta make it
classified information.
That's right. You gotta make it exciting, so they make it up. So with all that, just hit us up. Let us know if you got a great story, because God has put us on this journey on purpose. That's right. He wants us to make a lot of noise. I know you guys have read scripture where it said he want to hear it loud. He wants you to make some noise out there, telling your story. If you play music, he want to hear it loudly. It was funny. We were this church service that we had this past Sunday, Paula G, was so unique. Pastor Tony Evans in Texas. He's on TV, radio, and everything. Yeah. Well, they from Baltimore. A lot of people didn't know they from the DMV. I think his mother is actually still living here on Poplar Grove Street, if I'm not mistaken. Well, they have a lot of family members that left Baltimore, I think, to go to Texas to work with him, doing various things. Anyway, his son is a musician, gospel artist, vocal. I mean, this guy has a powerful voice. He actually worked with Kirk Franklin and Yolanda Adams when they out on tour. He'll tell you they got great singers with Kirk Franklin got great singers, and he hangs right in there with them. And so he gave us he played 3 songs this Sunday at church, but what happened, he doesn't preach. So basically the pastor sat down, they had a discussion. It was like I was watching my journey. And because it was on TV, because we watch it on the big screen at our campus church, but they in Columbia, where it's like a mega church there. So anyway, we were there watching on the big screen, and it was an incredible journey he's told. And some of it's on YouTube. My wife actually heard a lot of it on YouTube. So you guys want to look up Anthony Evans. He called himself Anthony Evans. And I guess if you just Google Kirk Franklin, you'll find the information. He has plenty of music out there on Spotify. Please. But anyway, he gave a free concert last night. So of course I had date night on Sunday. Long story short, my beautiful wife had tickets to see Mark Anthony at the Capital One Arena where the Wizards play at in D.C. But I had a really long day, sir. I just knew I wasn't going to be. He has a lot of songs, and I said, "Oh man, he's going to sing close to 15 songs, not counting the opening act, and she's not going to want to leave till the end." So I talked my way out of it, and we actually gave the tickets to a couple that missed their 10th anniversary. They have like 4 or 5 kids, and just one income. And I felt really good, that she gave him the tickets. And he told me today they had a spectacular time. And she didn't leave. She didn't want to leave until Mark Anthony said it was over and he was turning the lights out. So I was so happy. It was just like me being there. So anyway, we ended up going to a concert Sunday. And I didn't know he was going to sing that many songs. Anthony Evans sang maybe like 8 songs, and it was just so beautiful. It was, they had the stage lit up nice, and you guys could probably see some of the pictures I took on Facebook. I didn't have a lot of storage, so I couldn't do a whole lot of video. But anyway, we had a great time,
right?
And it was a great weekend. So, for all that said, check out Anthony Evans. Check out Richard J. KERR. His book is on Amazon. Check out Spotify for, Anthony Evans. Check him out. my pastor's also having a party this Friday in Columbia at the Bridgeway Community Church. For those of you in the DMV that want to hang out with the Batman, they're going to be doing something celebrating 10 years in radio. He's celebrating 10 years in radio for his show called Real Talk. And I think he's actually going to have people have opportunity to do some type of radio announcement, try to win a spot on his show. So, Batman's is getting ready, so I'm gonna try out for the.
Yeah,
gotta try out. So anyway, so that's what I got, and thank you, Paula, for an excellent interview. Really enjoyed you guys chopping it up tonight. Amen.
Yes, amen.
All right.
Amen.
Amen.
It was a great show. Yeah,
right.
And thank you all. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for the hearts. Thank you all for your love. Thank you all for your support. It's just, just truly appreciate it. And like Batman said, if you we all have a gift. I say this all the time. Miles Monroe said the richest place on the planet is the cemetery because so many of us have gone, not us, so many have gone to their graves not using the gifts and talents that God has given. You all have gifts. You all have talents. You have books. You have businesses. You have music. You have all of these things. We have platforms. We have television shows. We have radio shows. We can do voiceovers. We can do short films. We can do short trailers for. We are media. So reach out to us and help us to help you grow because it's all about exposure. We tell our guests all the time. I'll share this real quick, Jerry. But we tell our guests all the time on My Journey, that 30-minute show is that one guest. If you notice, we never have two guests on the show, although, down the road we might. But right now, we never have two guests. So it's that one person. So if you are a guest on My Journey with Paula G, that is your ministry that you're sharing. But also, in reality, it's a marketing tool. It's a tool that you can take that show, you can put it on your website, you can post it to your social media, you can share it indefinitely with your audience. 2-3 years from now, someone is watching the episode of My Journey that you were on. They're intrigued, they're interested, you've captured their attention. They're now going to your website or whatever it is that you have to further support you. That could be in the form of you purchasing your music or your book or what have you. So it's not just about being on one episode, viewing it one time. People may be seeing it one time. It has endless possibilities, just like the trailers, the short films, the podcasts. All of those things are indefinite. Can be utilized indefinitely for you to continue to share your journey and to continue to share your ministry. So
that's right.
Pray about it. Reach out to us and let's talk.
Right. Hit us up. And it's funny. Speaking of short films, we actually shot a couple pieces a couple years ago with a lot of the guys that were passing through the DMV, and I'm going to be introducing some of those short pieces on Late Night with Royce Live. We actually in another season in DeKalb County too, airing at 11 to 12 on Wednesday nights. So you'll be able to catch some of those segments along with some music videos. So if you guys got music videos professionally done, send them in. I've been getting them in lately, and they looking good. So this give you an opportunity to be seen by millions of households. Remember, Paula G is airing in four television stations, which the ones that are on digital television actually reach out beyond just the one state. So you might be talking about 8 states total. That these households are picking up the show. That's right. And that's right. In Chicago, it comes on at 7:30. The shows
that are on, yes, and those shows on DeKalb were on Tuesday night at 8:30. It's MVP with Sky on Wednesday at 11 p.m. Late night radio with Jerry Royce Live on Thursday. It's the Red Room at 10:30. It's My Journey at 11. Keisha Mosley Show, 11:30, and the Next Level on Saturday at 5 o'clock.
That's right.
All right here.
That's right. Yeah.
In the Georgia area, produced by Positive Power 21. So, like you said, the reach is continuing to grow.
That's right.
The reach is continuing to grow. So that is quite a bit of exposure.
That's right.
For your business, product, service, ministry, whatever it is. It's a lot of exposure.
That's right. And, and I know we got a couple more minutes. And on that note, I remember listening to a young man was telling me how now, because of streaming technology, he said he wants people to know about him before they get to the concert. So in other words, he wanted you to have heard him on a radio podcast or a FM show, or even heard him. Matter of fact, he was on WKHS. Matter of fact, Wednesday. It was Clyde J that said it. He want people to know him before he get there. So before he gets there in concert, he wants you to already know his music. Because the funny thing at Anthony Evans, we were singing his music. The people were singing his music, and at one time they did start out with his music on the jumbo screen, but then as the show went on, they knew his music. He felt so good about that. But the Baltimore, Maryland has been and DC's been that way for a long time. They're not coming out of they don't like you.
But
it's just the way it is.
But I mean, as we say back in the day, that's basically it's almost history repeating itself. For those of us who remember now, we all save and everything, but we all know Earth, Wind, and Fire. Come on now.
Yeah.
Listen
to them.
Listening to the music all of those years, we did not meet Earth, we didn't meet Wind, and we didn't meet Fire, but we listened to the music for years. But then finally, maybe after 2-3 years, we listened to the music, we love their music. They're coming to our city near us, and what do? We're now going to.
Right.
Never met them.
That's right.
But their reputation preceded them. Your Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, all of those performers. Right. We didn't know them personally, but we heard them. Right. Through the vinyl, we heard them, and like you were saying, Jerry. Now with the we have so much more of the visual now.
That's right.
In the media, with the the Facebook Live, all these other platforms, the internet, truly worldwide. Our friend Shaggy Tosh over there in the UK, the UK, the African audience is now exposed to Positive Power. Jerry Royce Live, Paula G.
That's right. And it's funny too, Paula. I remember when Facebook Live was really coming on strong. I remember being in Jay Williams' studio. We was at Jay Williams' show in the green room waiting to come on live. I think it was actually Sheila Piper Moore was there. I think Eva was there. It was quite a few female artists were there. I think Michelle Elizabeth was there. Jay Williams, of course, it was his show. Jason Nation, Siobhan Prairie. And it's funny, we was sitting in the green room and all of us are really strangers just chit-chatting. And I realized we've seen each other on Facebook many, many times.
Yeah, exactly.
And when names started coming, I said, wait a minute. I watched your daughter's show. They was just telling me they was watching my daughter's show. And then I was like, hold up, wait a minute. You so-and-so? It was so funny,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a small world. I mean, we're all being connected through social media, and then when you meet at these award shows or these, you just happen to be sitting in a green room with someone, or iHeart. I remember sitting iHeart Radio with J. Nicole Jones. Remember she used to be signed with Sony. Now she's a big time working for Fox Sports, doing gospel echoes of glory. So you never know.
And when I travel over to the UK at least once a year, and because of this worldwide exposure, I'm speaking as a witness. Because of this worldwide exposure, I'm over there, and I've done Shaggy's show a couple times when I've been over there, and people are chiming in.
Yeah.
Because they know, Paula, gee, you're here in London, this is great. And I'm like, oh my gosh, these people know who I am. The World Wide Web, the worldwide internet is a powerful tool, and what is produced from Positive Power 21 is professional, definitely will give you longevity and whatever it is that you do. So we got to think out the box.
That's right.
We got to think outside the box when it comes to sharing our ministries and sharing our journeys.
Hey, Paula, I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this, but I think it's HBO is about to produce Don Cornelius, I think a miniseries on Soul Train. And remember, I've been promoting, the guys that got me excited about television. That was Don Cornelius, Bobby Johnson, and Flip Wilson. I used to love the Flip Wilson show. And of course, Earl G. Graves, Black Enterprise got a little bit into television for a minute there, I think, on YouTube. But those were the guys that kind of influenced me to get into media, whether it was publishing magazines, or whatever it was, TV. Those guys, and now we're going to see behind the scene what really went on with the empire of Soul Train. Because you figure, as a black man back then, that dude made some millionaires. Remember that was the only real TV that was for African Americans at the time, unless you were able to get on the Dick Clark show, because he loved soul music. Dick Clark, he had some guys on there that
he really did.
Yeah, like he got Sam Cooke and them, all those guys.
I've been watching this month on Netflix. Not that I'm promoting Netflix, because but they have had some great documentaries for Black History Month. There was one on, and Jerry, have you ever heard of, what is that man's name? Clarence Avant. They call him the Black Godfather.
Yeah.
And evidently he was
New York City.
He was a promoter. Back in the day, that was really interesting. I mean, he talked about Dick Clark. He talked about Don Cornelius, and just kind of how all of that came about, and the racial imbalance at the time, and how he was able to navigate that world and produce the artists that he did. If y'all get a chance to get on Netflix, I think it's under the Black History Month.
Yeah, he's been out there for a minute too, that documentary.
Yeah, that one was huge. The two killings of Sam Cooke.
Yeah, that was a really good one.
Huge.
Yeah, that was good. That one and one about Teddy Pendergrass are really, really good, because, they kind of remind me of what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. What if Tulsa, Oklahoma lived today? That was a thriving black community. And Sam Cooke and Teddy Pendergrass was one of the first two that was going to be moving into starting their own record label and owning their own masters. Of course, James Brown got away with it. Not James Brown. Yeah, James Brown and Ray Charles. Those guys had already in the back of their mind that they weren't going to allow anybody to keep their masters. They knew what they saw their vision. And when the vision is strong, you're going to stand up stronger for it.
There was one scene in, was it the two killings of Sam Cooke, where it was Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, I want to say Malcolm X, and who was the fourth one? I don't want to call the wrong name. The fourth one, and the narrator was saying within a year, two of them had been assassinated, and then the third was assassinated the year after that, because of the fear of the four of them, and the power that the four of them had in the African American community, saying that it was too much power.
It was,
and it spoke to and then it spoke to, over the years, of how each generation, whatever leader that has arisen, has either been murdered or assassinated. And then I know we got to go. And then I finally saw the 13th Amendment. Have you seen that, Jerry?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
On Netflix.
I'm going to catch that.
Ooh, yeah. I had to give myself a minute, because I knew.
Yes, I did. I did see that one. I did see that one.
That
was a good one.
Yes, it was a good one. And it just talked about how, and I thought it was a good demonstration, talking about how the system has evolved over the years, but the foundation of the system is still the same, and it speaks to suppression. Yep. It just simply has changed, over the decades. That was powerful as well.
Yeah, it was. But I'm glad to see that some
knowledge
of our,
is power.
Yeah, it is. And people got to check this. And that's why I think when you see the success of people like 50 Cent, Curtis, and some of these other guys, it's because they went back and they looked at those documentaries. They saw those documentaries years ago. Yes. They had, of course, they guys had access to it, right? And they understood what was the next step and how they had to protect themselves, not just from the streets, but from the competition, who was fearing them the most. And look at these guys now. Even Bob Johnson, it shouldn't have just stopped with him having a BET network. I'm sure it was probably some others that was right around the corner that was closing in to having a network empire like that. Just like Sam Cooke and Teddy Pendergrass were that close to having a record label that was going to be just as powerful as your Sonys and your Atlantic Star and all of them, because they knew that when those guys have taken over. They knew a lot of those big time artists, black artists, was going to fly with those guys. They knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always believed it. That conspiracy. Whatever you want to say it is.
Yeah, it boils down to money.
Right,
yeah.
Right, because it's all about money.
Right. And when you really sit back and look at it and analyze it, it's just like the whole vote. When we talk about the voting, and of course, the presidential election is crucial. We have to vote. But and I think it was in the 13th Amendment, one of those, where it was saying that what we need to focus on, we don't focus on, are these local elections. Your county, your councilmen and
senators, your congressmen, all that stuff.
City commissioners, and all of those individuals. It starts there. And I think a lot of times we overlook those elections. We focus on the presidential, which rightfully so we should, but also we pay attention to what is happening locally, looking at those dates as to when those local elections are coming up, getting out and making sure the right city council people are in place, the commissioners and all of those,
and also because of that too, those
area that you live in.
And see, those guys eventually start moving, because I watched and Hogan and those guys, they start off as mayor or governor or whatever officials in your county, and next thing you know, they run in the state. And now they're the senator. So, it's like a stepping stone for them when they start off in local government, because they got to get to know you, right, and they want to visit your schools, and they want your vote. And next thing you know, you vote because you're familiar with them. Just like Reagan, I feel the reason why he won was because everybody knew him, when he was a cowboy. Just like Trump, they was familiar because of television. Exactly. And eventually people go with what they familiar. It's just like branding. It's like, that's what television does. Exactly what television does. Anybody right now, I believe you, that's on television right now doing the right thing can compete in the elections, because people know who they are and they're comfortable with them. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger won California as a governor. He was saw him on TV, all the big movies.
It's not even about the politics.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what you see. And you feel comfortable. Your brain already told you, hey, that's my man right there. Let's give him my vote. All right, everybody. It was an exciting show as usual, Paula G. We got so much out there right now. We can hit them with so much, but we got to end the show. You catch it on Spotify. You catch it on iHeart, Spreaker, Cashbox, you name it. Whatever your favorite platform is, you can catch Late Night with Jervis Live Worldwide with Paula G and Shay Salmon. Don't forget the Monday Night Triple Podcast starting off with Riri. Had a powerful show tonight. 2 young ladies in Jacksonville area writing stage play, getting their start, keeping the faith, selling out performances. The second show, Lakeisha actually had a young man who writes stage plays in the Atlanta area, also an author. Stand by for him. He may also be on Kelly's show this week. We're just waiting for confirmation because we had a cancellation. You get a chance to get some more questions out of Kelly dives deep too. So that's all we have. Yeah. So don't forget, WKJS, check us out, the podcast Live Jazz Experience on Wednesdays at 8:30. The Bible study with Dr. V. Come on, y'all. Come on out and join us. We got so much to offer you guys right here at Positive Power, XXI Christian Media. All right, Paul, do you anything? Anything final? Any final words?
I'm good. Just thank you all so much for joining us. I love you all to the moon and back. And also just want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Clark Garrison. Let's just keep him in prayer. He's dealing with some medical challenges. And for some of you who have been with me for a moment, I got my start in radio with Clark Garrison, Survival Radio Network right here in Atlanta, Georgia. That's my brother. He's near and dear to my heart. So just ask that you lift a prayer for healing. Clark
Amen. That's right.
KG.
That's right. He's a role model of mine. That's how I looked at him as a template for building positive power. Amen.
Yes.
Let's keep him in prayer.
Yeah, definitely a presence here in the Atlanta area, but in media, radio, television, photography, definitely a presence.
All right. Let's get out of here, Paula G.
Listening to Royce Worldwide Podcast.
Can you feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of XXI.
Positive Power 21.org. Internet radio.
You're listening to Royce Worldwide Podcast.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti. but I'm living in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21. Jerry Royce live, worldwide.
All right, fam, don't forget, y'all, Bible studies tomorrow night with Dr. V starting at 8 o'clock. So come out and join us. Then at Tuesday, you got a little bit of the testimony with Paula. That's right, big, powerful gospel powerhouse house music. That's right, she bring on her friends from the producing world, musicians, vocalists. So come on, check out her show at 9 o'clock. Coming out of New York City, and then back again Wednesday, we'll be in Chestertown with WKHS, that's right, radio.org, right here, talking about some jazz music, the industry. We're going to have some exciting guests here to talk about what is going on with streaming technology, and how can we make more money? How can we make money? So come on and join us, y'all, on 8:30 on Wednesday night with DJ Lady Praise and DJ J. All right? And also Thursday, be me and Kelly Holland be back at 10 o'clock. That's right, with another exciting guest. So stick around with Positive Power. You can pull up the app. That's right, go grab the app, iHeart, or Spotify, and just search for Jerry Royce Live, and all of the podcasts will come up. All right, have an enjoyable night, y'all. We'll be back on Tuesday.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Remind yourself